Finally, welcome everyone. My name is Yhurgis, and I'm going to be showcasing my Pyro loadouts. This means I'll be covering the weapon sets, cosmetics, as well as the taunts that I use throughout my TF2 matches. This is going to be a more informative video, so it's great for anyone who's hoping to get better at the class and understand what weapons to use and how to use them effectively. To get things started, I would like to discuss my cosmetics first. As you can see on the right, I've got the strange variants for each of the cosmetics, starting with the Hotties Hoodie, then the Pyro the Flame Deer, as well as the Dead of Night, specifically styled Dark Hide Grenades. They were all attained at the same time, which explains why they have similar points scored, and they're all painted Australian gold. For some background, I would like to say that I've had this loadout for nearly half a year, but the strange variants I've only gotten recently due to trading. But I really love this loadout, and I don't see myself changing or diverting from it too far unless some miracle happens and a fourth cosmetic slot is added. And even then I would really just add on to this particular loadout, maybe do something with the feet, but that's it. Before I move forward and away from cosmetics, I would like to address that I actually have an unusual Hotties hoodie, specifically an Orbiting Fire Hotties hoodie, and I really do love the unusual. I wish I would use it more often, but plain and simply, I really don't think that it's worth equipping this unusual if the effect doesn't appear half of the time, which really does make me feel sad, but that's specifically why I decided to trade for an upgrade to a strange variant, and I am really happy with my loadout besides that. As you can see, I named it the Gold Hemmed Hood. I really do love naming my cosmetics and really just items in general that are very special to me, so you'll see that plenty through my weapon sets. But yeah, this is actually in reference to an armor piece from Dark Souls, so if you get the reference, please let me know. So that's all I've got to say about cosmetics. Let's move forward towards the weapon sets. For my loadout A, I actually have my Australian set, the set that you've definitely seen me use throughout my previous videos. I love this weapon set in particular, and not just because it's golden and golden pyro equals more points, more kills, and MVP. I'm talking about just how these weapons work so well together, and let me explain why. Stock Flamethrower is absolutely phenomenal. You're going to be covering all corners with consistent damage and plenty of air blasts. With the flare gun, you're going to be doing the most damage out of all flare guns while doing a lot of damage at farther ranges. And then of course you've got the Extinguisher, which does so much damage, consistent damage should you be able to hit enemies while they're on fire. So it just covers all your bases, and you're just going to be dealing a lot of crit damage with your secondary and melee weapon, while your flamethrower is going to be doing more of the consistent high damage that you would get with pretty much any other flamethrower, so long as you're not relying upon crits. I also want to share with you real quick that I just reached 5,000 kills with my Australian flamethrower, so it's now epic, and I hope it will become my very first Hale's Own weapon. So I'll keep you all on tab with how my progress is going, and once I finally do hit Hale's Own Australian flamethrower. Also, before anyone asks, all the kills that I get on my weapons I track through either community servers or casual servers. I don't use any sort of achievement servers. I want to actually make these legitimate kills tracked. So if anyone was curious, that's what I hope on doing. I would also like to take this time to quickly explain the names of each of my weapons. Quelaag is in reference to a Dark Souls 1 boss that spews lava and breathes fire. You can always look it up. It's very fitting, and it's a beautiful name. So that's why I've named my Australian flamethrower Quelaag. As for my flare gun, I've named it Izalith in reference to Lost Izalith, the area in which you actually fight Quelaag. And then lastly, I have my Extinguisher, which I've named Quelana in reference to the NPC that teaches and trains you in pyromancy should you decide to go that route in Lost Izalith as well. Next up, for my loadout B, I have my Strange Festive weapon sets. I've got my Strange Festive Backburner, my Strange Festive Detonator, as well as my Strange Festive Power Jack. I like this particular weapon set because it's all about flanking your enemies, attacking from the behind for crits with the Backburner, using the Detonator to reach new heights, as well as using the Power Jack for that extra speed boost. As you can see, I've named my Strange Festive Backburner Zuko, my Strange Festive Detonator Roku, and my Strange Festive Power Jack Iroh, all of which are firebenders from Avatar The Last Airbender. Onto my loadout C, I've got my Flog Pyro set, also known as the Electric Pyro set. I've got the Phlogistonator, the Man Melter, as well as the Neon Annihilator. Now, of course, the Flog Pyro is kind of controversial, but in reality, the only reason why Flog Pyros actually do well is because, for some odd reason, it's so easy to become more confident in your playstyle with the Flog as opposed to any other flamethrower. I don't know why that is, but you definitely are focused more on your actual setting ablaze enemies as opposed to reflecting projectiles and extinguishing teammates. You're definitely a lot more on the offensive, so maybe that extra confidence allows for them to do well, but the stored crits does help. I will admit that. So that's great. I have nothing against people who like the Flog. I have nothing against people who don't really like it. I don't use it too often, as you can probably tell by the, stats on the strange variants I have. They're fairly new, so I haven't used them too much, but I definitely hope to change that in hopes of really showing more gameplay with this particular set. So of course I've got the Man Melter for the secondary. It takes away the negative attributes of the Phlogistonator by allowing you to extinguish your teammates and gain crits stored for such good deeds. And then lastly, we have the Neon Annihilator, which does extra damage to enemies submerged in water or who are wet. So it's great. I like it. I like the idea of being a Pyro Shark and had to incorporate that somewhere, and I felt the Electric Pyro was the perfect place for such. Also, it does help remove sappers, so that's kind of cool. Lastly, onto loadout D, I've got my Pibro set. So I've got the Degreaser, the Panic Attack, as well as the Homewrecker. So this obviously is great for defending engineer nests, but it's also great for fighting enemy
spy gentlemen
and pyros. So let me go ahead and explain why that is. For the Degreaser, you're going to be doing less afterburn damage, but that doesn't matter when you're fighting pyros. And it doesn't matter when you're fighting Dead Ringer spies. So you're actually going to be getting a lot more kills with a Panic Attack, because when you're fighting another pyro, you have the advantage. Really, I like to say advantage because it's sort of neck and neck still when you're fighting another pyro. You've got to be wary about that. But with a shotgun, you're doing burst damage as opposed to damage over time. So if you can hit your shots right, and of course, if you can hit your shots right, you're going to win. But really, when it comes to shotguns, you're going to be doing a lot of damage should you hit all your pellets and should you actually get the timing right. But because the Degreaser and the Panic Attack have this buff where you can switch weapons very quickly, they shift out almost instantly. So you have a really, really good shot at getting that pyro, no pun intended. So for Dead Ringer spies, whenever they have their feign death appearance, they're actually going to have a speed buff. So you're going to actually probably have them escape your flamethrower range. So having that Panic Attack shotgun as a backup for when they're farther away is actually really good for still doing some damage should they be close to death. And of course, the Homewrecker is great for taking out enemy sappers and defending your engineer nests and being just the best Pibro you ever could be. Okay, on to taunts. I want to say this real quick. Man Robex is my favorite dance taunt. I have no idea why. Maybe it's just the nostalgic music. Maybe it's the way the pyro dances so adorably. Or maybe it's just simply the fact that it's the very first dance taunt I have ever gotten. But I just love it so much, and I have that sentimental value towards this particular dance taunt. So I always have it equipped. So if you see me in game, feel free to join me for some Man Robex. I'm more than glad to do so. Ignore the twitching pyro, but I also use the Highfive probably the most often when it comes to interacting with strangers through casual. so I always have my Highfive taunt on as well. The Schadenfreude is actually the taunt that I actually probably should use more often. I feel like so many funny things happen to me in-game, and they just warrant the use of the Schadenfreude, so it's something that I have to get used to, but I've been getting a lot better. I actually taunt with the Highfive, tried to lure people in and then cancel it at the very last second and just say got them and then Schadenfreude them. So if I've ever done that to you, I'm sincerely sorry, but at the same time, not really, because it's absolutely hilarious to me and will be for the next 100 years. The Skating Scorcher is a taunt that I actually love so much, which is why it hurts me the most, because it's kind of glitched. The skates actually have a random chance of just being the wrong color, and that might sound crazy, but hear me out. For some odd reason, I don't know if it's just me, I just see that whenever I use the Skating Scorcher, I occasionally have blue skates on when I'm a red pyro, and then I occasionally have red skates on a blue pyro. I have no idea why this happens, and I hope it can be fixed, because otherwise it's an amazing taunt and I absolutely love it. The Party Trick taunt is actually very special to me because it was my very first pyro taunt. I love it, and the fact that you can actually use it in competitive just makes it all the more funny to me. I don't actually use the director's vision too often unless I'm in some sort of friendly server and just goofing off. And wrapping it up, I have my only unusual taunt. In fact, my very first unusual taunt, which I received from a friend named Bubs. So if you're watching it, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you selling this to me for such a low price. I really, really love this taunt. It's an unusual balloon bouncer, specifically Midnight Whirlwind. And I actually hope to name this taunt very soon. I was thinking of maybe naming it Ride the Cyclone or something fun like that. So thank you again, Bubs. I really do appreciate it, and I use this taunt all the time, especially at the start of matches. By the way, would anyone care to explain to me where my balloon bouncer actually is? Well, this concludes my video on Pyro loadouts. I hope you enjoyed it, or at least learned something new. I want to take this time real quick to thank everyone who's been subscribing to my channel. My channel has been growing a lot more quickly lately, and it just surprises me as to how fast this channel has been growing. I really do appreciate every ounce of support, and I just want to say that right now. So thank you again so much. Whether you've subscribed or simply have been watching my content, it means so much to me. I hope you all have a great time with whatever you're doing, whether it be playing Team Fortress 2 or something else. I hope you all stay jolly, have a wonderful time wherever you're at. Goodbye.